Hey there, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. Actually, I was not planning on reviewing this because it's very hard to review a TV show. But I really enjoy this and it definitely deserves to be talked about. And that is Martial Law, which I believe you can get this for maybe 20 bucks or so on Amazon. But I had heard about this show. Very nice person sent this to me because it was on my Amazon wish list. And watching the show, really enjoyed it. Did not catch it when it was on CBS back in the day, but this was surprisingly good to the point of I wish there were more seasons of this, but sadly it was only two. Now, Sammo Hung, for those who don't know, this is a guy who is very close with Jackie Chan. He was Jackie Chan's older brother in the Peking Opera School. They worked together in quite a few films like Wheels on Meals, My Lucky Stars, many other movies. I believe the Project A films. Wheels on Meals is still a film I need to see one day, but I've seen bits and pieces of it. But Sammo Hung, the film I've seen him the most, I would say, is Eastern Condors, which I have on DVD around here somewhere. Eastern Condors is a really good takeoff of the Dirty Dozen. If you like martial arts, if you love Dirty Dozen type of movies, definitely check out Eastern Condors. But this is the guy who was at the beginning of Enter the Dragon, fighting Bruce Lee. He's been in quite a few stuff. He's also a choreographer. He's a director. I believe he directed Mr. Nice Guy, which I enjoy with Jackie Chan. He was in one of the Ip Man movies. I think Ip Man 2. If you're a martial arts fan, you've definitely seen Sammo Hung a lot of stuff. And this was his first really big thing to do in the U.S. Now, the way this show came about, Stanley Tong, the director. Now, for those who don't know, Stanley Tong, he's the guy who directed Jackie Chan in films like Super Cop, Rumble in the Bronx. Those films became very popular when they got picked up by New Line Cinema and they dubbed it in English and decided to take a chance to release them in the US, and they became surprise box office hits. So that's where Jackie Chan really got reinvigorated into the American market after the failure of films like Battle Creek Brawl and The Protector. And then that led to him having the big hit of Rush Hour, which I'll get to that in a minute. But Stanley Tong had directed these Jackie Chan films, and so he had a deal for TV for CBS. And I believe at one point they wanted Jackie Chan to star in the TV show, but Jackie Chan, he didn't want to do TV, which made sense because now that his films were being brought to America and being successful, there was a lot of opportunities that Jackie had to reach out for at the time. So Stanley Tong's like, well, wait a minute, there's this other guy named Sammo Hung. And Stanley Tong actually directed a few episodes, and that's where you got Martial Law. I know at one point Jackie Chan was actually going to do like a cameo, like a walk-on cameo, but either they filmed it and it got cut out, or they didn't film it at all. I'm not sure which one. But the gist of the show, at least the first season, is Sammo Hung is a cop in China. He comes to America because there's this bad guy who's chasing after. They get the bad guy, but he comes back in a few episodes down the road in season 1. And he decides to stay in America and work for the LAPD. Other people in the cast, you had Kelly Hu, who was trained by Sammo Hung's character, and at first she was kind of you thought maybe she was a villain, but then you realized she was undercover, and so she becomes one of our main characters, one of our main heroes. Yeah, this guy, Louis Mandylor, I'm not sure if he's connected with Costas Mandylor, but This guy, Louis Mandylor, at first I'm like, I don't know about this guy. He seems kind of bland. But as the show went on, he, I warmed up to him, and he definitely seems like a good fighter, sort of like Muay Thai. I'm not sure which martial art he studied, but he's definitely capable in a fight. And then their captain was this guy. I believe the actor's name is Tom Wright. I could be wrong on that. But if that guy looks familiar, he was in this very underrated film I reviewed when I did my Dolph Lundgren marathon, Men of War. There's also this lady, which she didn't last on. She was only in a couple episodes. I don't know what happened because there's not a ton of info on the show. I don't know if she got fired or she quit. If they said, I mean, I didn't really care for her on the show, so I was fine when she was gone. And then about 8 episodes in, they introduced Arsenio Hall. Now, Arsenio Hall, I guess at first was going to be just a guest star, but I don't know. I remember hearing at one point he had other deals with CBS, like he did other pilots. They didn't work out, so maybe CBS was trying to look for a project for him since the Arsenio Hall show was pretty much gone at this point. And then he stuck around, and I know a lot of people said that the show was good until he came on board, and I'm like, so you only like 8 episodes of the show? Really? But they're like, oh, the show got ruined when Arsenio Hall came on. I absolutely disagree with that. I liked Arsenio Hall on the show. Yeah, I'm sure the success of Rush Hour, because this show did come out around 1998, and Rush Hour, that's the same year Rush Hour came out, became a big hit. You had a Chinese action star and a black comedian. So if that was the case, fine, because I thought it worked very well. Definitely better than Rush Hour 3 or the Rush Hour TV show, let alone the Lethal Weapon TV show. Better than a lot of shows. And I thought Arsenio Hall, he brought fresh energy, breath of fresh air. I thought he worked very well with Sammo Hung. There were times I liked Arsenio Hall. You know, I thought he was good in Coming to America. Uh, I've seen bits of his show back in the day, like when he interviewed Van Damme or Steven Seagal or others. I love his segment in Amazon Women on the Moon. So I'm a fan of Arsenio. I thought, again, him and Sammo worked very well together. And I liked the second season, but the first season especially was really, really good in its fight scenes and choreography. At times, movie level choreography in some of these episodes. And whether it be this fight he has in the museum, and at one point Sam was using a piece of a dinosaur armed skeleton to fight bad guys. Pieces of a gym, like he kicks a bag and it hits a guy in the face. Well, I don't want to give everything away, so I would just be vague on the fight scenes. I definitely recommend anyone picking this up, especially if it's still only 20 some bucks on Amazon. I definitely recommend anyone pick it up if you like martial arts, if you like action. A lot of fun action sequences. I like Sammo. He has a nice, likable charm and quality to him. I mean, not too long ago I reviewed Enter the Fat Dragon, which is an earlier film he did. And he still had that likable charm in this as well. And I thought for a guy whose English is not his first language, he did fairly well with it. Each episode, they actually do take a page of Jackie Chan, where each episode actually has a little gag reel, like Jackie Chan's films would, like any screw-ups or anything. That was kind of a nice touch. The theme song on the first season, I was a bit unsure about when I first heard it. I'm like, oh my god, what is this? Because it's almost like the equivalent of the racist ching chong ching ching chong ching ching chong. But as it went along, I kind of grew to like it in a weird way. Maybe because I was enjoying the show, I'm like, okay, that reminds me of the show. I don't know. Season 1 I really enjoyed. Season 2 I liked. It was a step down, but I don't think it was awful like some people say it is. Like, oh my god, it's completely unwatchable. I disagree with that very much. It was still a fun show, and I wish there was a 3 and a 4 and a 5th season. I wish this show lasted a lot longer, because I was sad when it closed out. I'll get to the possible whys in a minute. But before the end of season 2, so other good points, not only the choreography, the action, Sammo Arsenio. I like Kelly Hu. I know she was in X-Men 2. She got killed by Jason in Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, where Jason choked her and just threw her on the ground on the cruise ship. Well, not cruise ship, boat. It's not cruise ship, more like a boat. A lot of, when you watch both seasons, a lot of recognizable faces as guest stars, which was fun. Like to see who would pop up next. For example, in one episode, Olivier Gruner, yes, from Nemesis, Angel Town, he's in an episode, and he has a really good fight scene with Sammo Hung. And Olivier Gruner is like this big game hunter, and then at the end tries to hunt, him and his men try to hunt Sammo and Arsenio Hall, like a little bit of Hard Target. Or The Hunt, the film that Universal nixed. But done for a TV scale. At the end of the day, in the back of your mind, you know this is a TV scale, so you're not going to get movie quality. But again, some of these fight scenes would be worthy in a movie. So very impressive on that front. Mark Dacascos is in an episode in season 2 of Mario Van Peebles. I think he's like a Hollywood guy who rides with Sammo Hung Arsenio Hall to try to learn from them, because he's like a Hollywood star, stuntman, and so it was cool to see Mario Van Peebles in that. Other people, let's see, I'm trying to think. Mako from Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer. He has a few appearances in this as Sammo Hung Sensei, so it was cool to see Mako in that. Villains, Patrick Kilpatrick, the Sandman from Death Warrant. He's in one episode as the villain. That's what's hard about doing a TV show. It's hard to remember all the episodes. They're kind of it's hard to focus all 44 and change of episodes into one thought process. Again, that's why I don't review TV shows a lot. There's also some crossover episodes. Which is nice that they included it on here. I mean, you don't have much for features. You just have a commentary from the creator on the very first episode, which that was cool. You have, then, like you said, the crossover episodes. You have a two-parter. One was on martial law, and the second part was on Walker Texas Ranger. And I'm glad that they included both, including the Walker Texas Ranger episode. So yes, Sammo and Chuck Norris are on the same screen together. I will say that the Walker Texas Ranger episode was a bit disappointing. Like the martial law part, that episode with Chuck Norris was fine. But when it was the Walker Texas Ranger episode, and then Sammo Hung was a guest star, that was really disappointing because they really gave Sammo nothing to do. It's almost as if someone said, you can't have Sammo do too much, otherwise he'll outshine Chuck Norris. I love Chuck Norris, but Walker Texas Ranger was, when I think of Chuck Norris, on a side note, I think of Firewalker, Missing in Action films, Invasion USA, Delta Force, Silent Rage, The Hero and the Terror, Lone Wolf McQuade, and more. You know, Code of Silence. I would say like Firewalker and Vision would say Sound Rage. Like those would be Missing in Action 2. Those are like my favorites. But the Walker Texas Ranger, anytime I watch the show, I'd be like, something about the fight scenes are poorly done. I don't know if it's just the humongous usage of slow-mo, or I don't know if Chuck Norris was just so old at that time that he couldn't do the fights as... Like, these are not the fights I remember from seeing Wolf McQuaid and Firewalker. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I haven't seen enough of that show. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But it's just, even the episode of Walker Texas Ranger on here is like kind of a weak episode. And I would say I actually like this show more than Walker Texas Ranger. But yeah, maybe that's not fair to that show. I haven't seen that show in forever. But again, based on the one that, of the two-parter, I thought the Martial Law was better than the Walker one. And then there's also another crossover that Sammo Hung did with this show called Early Edition. And people might not even know what that show is. It was another show on CBS. Starred Kyle Chandler. And what was it? Oh yeah, he was in Godzilla King of the Monsters recently. And Kyle Chandler was this guy that every time he woke up, he would get a newspaper. But the newspaper detailed what would happen tomorrow. So he had a day exclusive of what would happen tomorrow, and he would change people's fates because of that. Interesting concept for a show, and sadly that crossover I thought was better than the Walker Texas Ranger episode. Because Sammo Hung actually had stuff to do in that. I never thought I'd say that the early edition episode was better than the Walker Texas Ranger episode, but let's see. Other guest stars, Byron Mann from Street Fighter, the Van Damme film. He has an appearance in, he's in one episode of this. I know there's others, but I'm blanking out. I'm going to say Olivier Gruner, Martha Dacascos, Mario Van Peebles. Oh, Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder makes an appearance. There's an episode where him, Sammo, and Arsenio Hall they're in a prison. It's actually the episode with Patrick Kilpatrick. One of his gang is Kane Hodder. It says, oh, we go, Sammo Hung is kicking Jason Voorhees in the face. But again, it was a very enjoyable show. Flaws, I guess when season 2 came around, there were new writers, new people in the mix. Because they did this weird thing where at the end of season 1, it ended on a cliffhanger where the bad guy who was in a couple episodes and Sammo Hung are in a helicopter, and Sam was trying to save Kelly who's tied up. Sammo and the bad guy fall off the helicopter, the ocean's below them. Then when you get to season 2, episode 1, they don't follow that up. It's Sammo and Arsenio in another situation. And if you listen closely, they barely reference what happened. Like they go, like Arsenio Hall goes, hey, if you could survive falling into the ocean, you could survive this. And also some of the cast members they got rid of. Like this guy, Luz Mandalore, was gone. This guy was gone. I don't know why, but again, that's why I kind of wish someone did the season 2 episode commentary, because I would love to get some answers. Like why? I thought these two for the show worked fine. Like he grew on me, and he was a good fighter, and I like him from Men of War and other films. I don't know why they got rid of these guys. I have no idea. And then they added another girl who was their boss and kind of an antagonist, but would help them along as well. Which her, I didn't really care for. I wish they stuck with these two guys. But that was such a weird, wanty way. It's like, and I noticed also with season 2, there's still good fight scenes, but it seems like the intricate choreography went down a step or two. But how do I put it? The season 2 choreography and fights are fine for a TV show. I think that's what I expected for season 1. But season 1, when I was watching, I'm like, oh my god, this exceeds my expectations. And then season 2 is like, okay, those are what my expectations were. So it's disappointing, but not bad at all, in my opinion. And plus, I mean, there's some fun episodes. Oh, Kevin James in season 1, he's actually one of the villains, along with this guy. It was kind of cool, like his buddy has this body armor, and at the end of the episode actually goes in and is shooting up a police station, and Sammo Hung has to fight this guy in a body armor, head to toe, while Arsenio Hall is fighting Kevin James. And Kevin James is playing it fairly straight. It's not, uh, which I thought was kind of interesting, a different role for Kevin James. I thought he actually did a pretty decent job. But yeah, the other than like it was a step down season 2 from the first episode, but I still enjoyed it because I enjoyed the Mara Van Peebles episode. I enjoyed the Martha Costos episode. The first episode, despite the weird, we're going to ignore the ending of season 1 cliffhanger. Okay. So season 2 doesn't end on a cliffhanger, thankfully enough. So it does end. It doesn't end on a stupid note like Elf season 4, where that show ended on a cliffhanger. Or season 1 of this, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. Season 2, which is nice. Pretty much, he's going to go back to China, but they could work around that. He could always come back. But what was I saying before? Oh, the season 2 episode 1. It was a fun episode, I thought, where Arsenio and Sammo Hung are stopping these guys who have a bomb, and they have to keep this bomb level. And Sammo Hung's like, we got, Arsenio's asking, is there any way to keep us calm? Are there any Chinese techniques to keep you calm? Because they both have to hold still with this bomb. And Sammo Hung says something like, we've seen Neil Diamond. So they start singing the song. And that makes a nice reference at the end of the film. I think they mentioned Neil Diamond. I could be wrong on the artist. And then most of the episode is this bad guy, which is, I recognize the actor. He's the guy who played, was it Quark on Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine? He puts a bomb on Sammo's body. And pretty much Sammo has to keep moving, otherwise it'll explode. So, a little bit of speed, but I actually like that idea. That was a fun idea, fun episode. And Arsenio Hall, a lot of people give him crap, but I thought he did a really good job. And definitely by season 2, they toned down his energy a little bit. By season 1, he was a bit bigger than life, but I was still enjoying him. I never found him annoying. In season 2, and I also like the Arsenio Hall. It's not just the sitting there wisecracks doing nothing. The first couple episodes he was in, that happened, but the rest of season 1, especially season 2, he's actually in on the action. Arsenio's actually fighting, shooting. He's actually a worthwhile partner for Sammo Hung. Like, he actually does stuff. And yeah, I like the two of them together. I thought there's some nice fun stuff between the two of them. Like one part in season 2 where Sammo's car keeps messing up, and Sammo's actually fighting these guys as he's trying to stop his car from going off the pier. And he fights these guys off, but the car goes off. He said, my car! And then Arsenio's like, oh, my binoculars. And Sammo's like, binoculars? And Arsenio goes, well, they're worth more than that car was. mean, they did a better job than I could, but again, other than the season 2, episode 1 being a kind of a wonky, it seemed weird. Like this show, people were tampering with it, even though it was doing well in the ratings, which I thought was kind of a strange thing to do. But I mean, for me, the season 2, episode 1, wonky, like, okay, so the last episode of season 1 didn't happen, or it did happen because they referenced it, but I don't know why they did that. Love the explanation. Again, the season 2, like, that quadra's a little bit of a step down, but there's still some pretty good stuff. And like I said, I liked these two together. Kelly Hu did fine. As for why the show got canceled, I've heard a couple things. One was Sammo was not happy with season 2, like the writing. In fact, I also remember reading that Arsenio Hall said he was going to quit and not do season 3 because he thought at least that could be wrong, but one of the things I read. And then like Samuel's like, okay, I'll do a season 3, but I want script approval because you're just using me as a fighting machine. I like to be able to do a little bit more stuff. And I can see Sammo Hung's point. Because, again, I liked season 2. But season 1, they gave Sammo a bit more to do, like try to be a mentor to either Louis Mandalore or Arsenio Hall. Scenes he had with his sensei at the end of season 1, Mako's character. There's even a point where Sammo has a little bit of a romantic relationship with this one girl. I forget the woman's name. But like they gave a bit more for Sammo to do. Not so much in season 2. So again, I can understand, and CBS should have just let Sammo get script approval. I mean, they would have done it for for Chuck Norris. Just let, your ratings are doing well. Let Sammo do it. Let Sammo have script approval. The other thing I heard was that the cost of the episodes were too much, too high. So like, even though the show was doing well in season 2, yeah, I think it was doing like the same ratings as season 1 was. Sammo Hung wanting script approval if he did season 3 and high production costs. Apparently those were the two reasons why there was no season 3. And it sucks because there's a lot of terrible shows that have tons of seasons. But good shows like Daybreak with Tate Gibbs, which I reviewed that. I forget where I put that around here, but that's a fun show. I really enjoyed Daybreak. It's a very underrated show. Then you have Grady the Bunny. That only lasted like a season. I'm trying to think. There's a few other shows. It's like, man, I wish they lasted longer. And this is definitely in that wheelhouse. And I'm glad that this got released on DVD. It says CBS DVD VEI, I guess is the company that released this. And when the show came out, again, it was popular. TV Guide gave it the award for favorite new series in its first season. And I can see why. Very fun show, very entertaining show. Definitely worth a look if you're a fan of action shows, 90s action shows. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's, again, I know this is going to sound mean or unfair, but I wish we had less Walker Texas Ranger and more of this. That's just my opinion. Again, it's just the Walter Texas Ranger stuff I've seen. Like, I prefer Chuck Norris's movies, but this definitely 2 thumbs up from me. So I guess another reason why I wanted to do this because I couldn't really find any reviews of this show on YouTube, which is a shame because it definitely deserves a lot more than it's gotten. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, you had a show which starred a Chinese guy, a black guy, Kelly Hu, Louis Mandalore. Like, there's not a white person there. Like, this guy isn't white. Like, today, they'd be creaming their pants at a show like this. This show did it, but was not for PC reasons or to brown nose some people. Oh, look how politically correct they are. No, it was just, this is what the show is. And they saw a movie called Rush Hour. And let's just do it. And it worked fine. There was no... And also, like, the comedy, a lot of the comedy with this was not just, oh, I don't understand America. How do you understand America? What is this in America? Like, they didn't make him an idiot. It's like, I don't know anything in America. They didn't do that cheap joke. Once in a Blue Moon, but I thought it was actually humorous, funny. But they don't beat them in the ground, so I give credit to that as well. I keep showing it because give me something to do. By the way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next video. Later.